Again, we played Ebony's video because it's exactly a year that she died. She passed on in that freak accident on that Sanyani to Kumasi Road. Tragic story for the music industry in Ghana and also for the whole country. We're all mourning that morning. I remember. It's a very sorrowful, tragic event. Yeah, may her soul rest in peace. But we have to share with you, talking about roads, etc., which of the routes or roads you need to use if you're coming into the city or Accra. And it's traffic.com.gh. We hope that you're also going to check up their sites in the hours of the day, whenever you have the time. But this morning, let's just run by you the latest areas that we have to take the traffic report from. Let's go to Ring Road Central, and over there you get to find that just for the Friday morning doesn't seem or look too busy. So if you know that you're coming through the areas like Kanda or just going through the normal areas into Accra Cantonment, this is the right place for you to use, going through a Kwame Nkrumah Circle and subsequently the interchange as we have it, or you're going to Kandishi, you can still pass through this time of the day. But usually we'll build up, as we'll get to see subsequently when we do more of what the picture is going to look like subsequently before the close of the hour. Well, so please make sure that you touch base with the site traffic.com.gh, and we'll tell you where the site will be, especially if you're coming from Tema. You have to go through the motorway into Accra, and so we'll go and look at what the situation is. This is the Tema end of the motorway, the roundabout, and construction is ongoing because of the port expansion project. But usually the traffic situation is always from the Kpong or Dowinya side getting through the roundabout, and for those who are going either from the Afienya area also coming through the roundabout as well, they get to find a lot of traffic. So what you see currently is the one through the Afienya end, and subsequently you get to find that the building just behind that roundabout that's under construction leads to the motorway, and if you meander through that area, you subsequently will get onto the motorway. The motorway, we should know, is an 18-kilometer stretch, and so if you're crossing it, you also need to know which of the speed limits you need to be using. But we'll also be looking at what the traffic situation is at the airport city area, and just adjourning is the airport shell, and the road looks very empty now. So you can use there if you're coming through from Airport Hills, the Spinters Road, coming through the main Tetekwashi area. You can use this as a bypass if you want to go through to Airport City, you want to go through the Elwak area into Cantonment, etc. You'll get to know. And subsequently, if you want to use here and you're coming from the Polo Club area, this is the right route for you to use. Again, we're making this available for you through traffic.com.gh. Well, so we'll also look at what the picture or the situation is at the Burma Camp Gifford Road. And if you go there, usually for those who are coming from Labadi, Laboni, and some of those areas, this is the right place for you to use. But you can also use this if you're coming through the Spinters Road. There's a bypass that leads you to some of those areas, and you want to go through to Elwak, Cantonment. Just, you know, the routes are just intertwined that way. And you can always get some of the latest updates throughout the rest of the day. Just in case you know, today is a Friday, the traffic build-up usually will start from 1 to 2. This is the right time not only to watch us, because it's gettoseetraffic.com.gh, and throughout the rest of the day you can check them up. Now let's go to Tekwashi or any of those related locations. We'll get to find out what the traffic situation is up there, and you're coming from East Legon, or you're coming from Adenta, Mrahia, Otinibi, Ayi Mensa, Ebri, or Pantang. This is the route for you. Or you're coming from Zongo Junction, Medina, and you get to find that the traffic is not building up currently, but it will by the next 20 minutes or the close of the hour, and we'll bring you the sites as we have them through traffic.com.gh. Now for your traffic morning, that's the run-up of what the scenes are if you're looking at the various routes for you to use. Again, please make sure that you get to the site, traffic.com.gh. They have made this possible for us to bring you the latest update on the morning traffic in the city or Accra. Right now, we have to take a break. When we come back, myself and Mama Vio Sabwaji will be looking at what the stories are front back pages of the various newspapers we have in the studio. Stay with us. Sweet, wonderful, talented lady just passed on a year ago, exactly a year ago. Sad incident.
Yeah, I remember that day was like yesterday because we had come to work. The news was trickling in.
I was proud to the time we'll get onto the airwaves, and we're wondering. This had just come in, and the videos were just popping up. So we said we couldn't have.
I simply said it wasn't true. I said no.
I think we all did. Because it was just too bad to believe.
Well,
negative.
But she would go on to win the Artist of the Year.
Yeah, she did. She did. And subsequently, we've had a producer also sign on another equally talented lady. And
all the conversations, it was a massive funeral. Then the fights, with the bullets and the father, lots of things happening after. But I think it will be, we will not, I'm not sure we'll forget Ebony.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Well, may her soul rest in peace.
Absolutely.
God has also talking on issues of road safety and the roads subsequently.
True. True.
Charlie, very sad. Well, we have to do the newspapers, and we have the Daily Graphic. You have
and today I'll share a certain, I don't know if to call it bizarre, but a man who's suing his parents
for giving birth to him.
For giving birth to him, for lack of consent.
You see,
essentially. We'll share that with you, but let's dig into the newspapers.
If you haven't been given birth to and you're not grown enough to be of age to consent to it, how then do you?
Good question. But there's a twist to that. But can I just acknowledge that my fabric is Woodine? This is from the Woodine store. You can go to the Woodine store today, any day, if you're thinking of getting a gift. Val's Day is just around the corner. You can't get any ideas. Well, they've got great stuff in the Woodine store. So just pop in and grab something. Let's do the newspapers. The Daily Graphic newspaper, front page of the Graphic. Opposition parties protest against by-election violence. They called it Agbewo. So on the front page is Mr. Roxin Bukhari, a Minister of State at the presidency, addressing the protesters after receiving the petition on behalf of the president at the Jubilee House in Accra. A lot of things we didn't think would happen yesterday happening because, first of all, Jubilee House didn't seem like a possibility for these protesters. Even the routes they used was an unusual one. But there are a lot of compromises as well. Also on the front page, Tiger IPI is terrorist group, according to former GFA President Nyan Techi, but Anna says it's terrorism against corruption. GTUC, no, I didn't. I missed. I mean, I tried to listen and then it was over. GTUC matriculates 350 students tomorrow. Unauthorized traffic wardens take over police duties. Murder of Ahmed Hussein Suale is 6 arrested. That's the updates.
I was watching the story with Mr. Oklu giving us the update from Kumasi. I don't know whether...
There's also the IGP reshuffles 122 police officers. I'm picking that from page 3 in the paper. We'll get into details of it. Center spread, security capos and crunch meeting at page USA. Be mindful of mental patients' human rights is also another story in the center spread. Back page of the Graphic. Manya Krobo Traditional Council in tussle with West Africa Quarries Limited, and 2 arrested for attempting to stow away to China. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper by way of headlines. Roland?
So we have to take a look at the Ghanaian Times. That's on the front page. National security talks underway. Political vigilantism, armed robbery, kidnapping, contract killing on agenda. And the story is on page 16 of the paper. The Ghanaian Times. Other stories we have: hundreds demo against violence at Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. Meanwhile, we had this coming before the close of the news day yesterday evening. Police reshuffle 122 officers, and somebody on my page said this IGP is IGP reshuffle. I don't know, but you know, sometimes people say things. GJ Tiger IPI hold memorial service for slain journalists. And then we have the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Objective of street naming not achieved. Yo. And 200 farmers trained in apple processing. Have an apple, foreign apple or local apple processor. I know we don't grow apple here. I don't know, maybe an African type of apple. So we have all that on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Let's go to the Daily Guide newspaper. And the Daily Guide newspaper has on the front page, cocoa board floors Agongo in $46.4 million fertilizer deal. Massive shake-up in police. Miss Arthur's name pops up in NCA trial. NDC demo hits town. Security chiefs draw road map to check vigilantism. And those are the stories we have. Let's go to the back page of the paper. We have Rex Brobe to represent Lagadere Sport at Kotoko Confederations Cup Games. Rex Brobe. Rex Brobe. I think he used to be an athlete back in the day. We also have Kaneshi complex now befits Azuma's stature. We have sports minister saying this. I think there's some great renovation ongoing there. Taga IPI is criminal. Nyantechi finds back. Former GFA president. Kwapong lifts the AFSAM Junior Open. And then we also have
the Finder?
The Finder newspaper.
Right. Let's do the Finder newspaper. Front page, security chiefs brainstorm on improving nation security. Curfew in Drobo, Jape Chrome, 6 others renewed. Shake-up hits police service, 122 officers reassigned. Police withhold details of 6 persons arrested over Anas's boy's murder. And the First Lady says it's time to look at financing cancer treatment in Africa. To the Daily Statesman newspaper, 120 top cops reassigned. Security chiefs strategize for action with police shake-up. Bisu's babes back Mahama's boot for boots. Okay. EC fixes a deadline for audited accounts. And you see on the front page of the paper this headline. I think it's Nano Yelitha IC with some other persons and Hannah Bisu. And that's why it's got the headline. They're showing off their shoes, their boots, if you like, in other words, at the demonstration yesterday. That's why it's got the headline, Bisu's babes back Mahama's boot for boots. EC fixes deadline for audited accounts, and in memoriam, Joseph Washidankwa Patriots. All right, I guess you're unable to see what's on the front page of the paper today. All right, so that's it for the Daily Statesman, Roland.
Yeah, so we have to look at the Gold Street business. The Gold Street business is on the front page. Borrowers paying steep loan fees. Some bank charges nearly doubling total loan costs. That's the situation we're in Ghana. We've always been here for a very long time. I don't know why. Charlie, to go take money for bank, it'd be wahala. We have other stories on the front page of the Gold Street business, and this is the paper. Okay, and then we have some other related stories. Let me look at. Okay, so the Herald. I have the Herald here. The Herald has on the front page. That's the Herald newspaper. Mistrust greets Ayawaso Gun Violence Commission of Inquiry. The Herald newspaper will be on the screen soon. We also have Yoko Boss runs from Nam1 cash and phone allegation. And then that's the front page. So we have other stories there as well. Okay, Now let's look at the Daily Dispatch newspaper, the last paper before. Mama, you have one more paper? No?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
The Daily Dispatch newspaper is the last paper, just in case. So it says, by-election shooting victim likely to have leg amputated. That's quite sad. We have basis of voting in 2016 presidential elections. Ethnicity 5%, loyalty 16.6%, the manifesto is 46.3%, and all this is in a book published by Bedefson. It says 2 years of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration, and also the 2016 presidential parliamentary result with exclusive analysis. And it's by Benefson. It's due March 30, 2019 at a bookshop or store near you. President to select 6 of 30 towns as new regional capitals. And please don't be fighting over the regional capital. We fought for the regions now. Well, okay. Okay, so those will be the stories on the pages.
Okay, now let's get into some details, and I'm picking this from the Daily Graphic newspaper. This story about 6 persons arrested in relation to Ahmed Hussein's murder. It says the Ghana Police Service has arrested 6 persons suspected to have played roles in the murder of the journalist Ahmed Hussein Suale. The undercover journalist was shot dead at Medina in Accra on January 16 this year. The suspects have been interrogated, their statement taken and released on police enquiry bail. The Director General in charge of Public Affairs of the Police Service, Assistant Commissioner of Police David Eklu, who made this known in Kumasi yesterday, however, declined to mention the names of the suspects. In addition to the 6, he said the police had also given statement forms to Mr. Kennedy Ejapong, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, and Anas Areme Anas, all suspects in the case, to be filled and returned to the police. And I wanted us to box this up with Roland, with Mr. Nyantakyi's first public comments since his ban. You know, all the things that has come following number 12.
Yeah.
So what did he say yesterday?
I think.
So this is him. Let's put this in context. This is him speaking on Oman FM.
Yes, the thing was that Kenny Japan was the one who was speaking, was having an interview on Oman FM as well as Netu TV, and subsequently, I think they called in Nyantakyi to do some clarification and also contribute to the allegations that were being raised by Mr. Kenny Japan that Anas Areme Anas and his Tiger IPI were dubious, and also the activities also contributed to somebody murdering or killing Hussein Suale. So they called in Kwesi Nyantakyi, who did the narration and tried to recall when he was picked up from the airport, what may have transpired, and how he thinks that Ahmed Suale was also in Dubai at the time when the thing happened. And subsequently did a description calling the Tagai PI organization or the team and Anas Areme Anas as terrorist groupings because of the way they conducted their activities in a clandestine way. He also made mention, I remember vividly, that the actions were a breach of people's privacy and subsequently their constitutional rights because you were not told that this is a conversation that was going to go public, and so he concluded they operated like is it ISIS? Yes, that's what he said. I mean, just summarily, that's it was an interview. I say around 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's quite.
Yeah. Yeah, because what I saw, I went to watch back on their page on Facebook.
Also, he was on television as well.
Yes, it was on television and on radio. Yes, and it was live on their social media platforms, Facebook especially, and that's why I went to watch it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, all right. There are some people who think that Kennedy Japan should keep quiet, should not be saying anything, but. Who's listening to them?
I think that he has a right to talk. The Constitution grants him that right, and his posture is what it is. That's his posture and his attitude in reaction to things he believes are an affront to people's rights or whatever. Yesterday, for example, if you go to the page or where I went to watch it on their page, a lot of people, there were mixed reactions, but more so some people were defending the actions of the Tiger IPI team and the way they operated. And even I remember one comment saying that in the absence of the state institutions that are mandated to do what they have to do to unearth corrupt practices, etc., in the absence of that, the work of Tiger IPI has come in handy. And there was always the judgment. What is of public interest and what is invasion of privacy? If you invade somebody's privacy and it is not of public interest, then that is that thoroughly also needs to go down the wire, and for you to be either held liable before a court or something of the sort, or prosecuted. But if what is unearthed in that invasion of your privacy is of public interest, and we have to note that phrase, of public interest, then I don't know, we have no option. But that also brings to mind the fact that the work of Tiger IPI and its investigators, and indeed it looks like now many investigative journalists, is always under threat, because we don't have the structure and the machinery that will protect their lives, that will protect their identity, etc. And it looks like the media even condones such intrusions, meaning that they don't protect the lives of the journalists who tend to contribute to society through that type of work. And I feel that is worrying. But at the end of the day, people have their right to air their views, and I believe that we also have to grant Kennedy Agyapong and whoever is like-minded to also air their views. I wouldn't say that it's wrong. Morally, you say that, well, why are you condoning something of the sort? Yeah, so they also have their rights. Well,
yes. In that police, the details of the arrest that they've made, they say that the three persons, Kennedy Agyapong, Kwesi Nyantakyi, and then Anas himself, have all been given statements because they are interested parties in this, at least for now. So we'll see where this takes us. But there's a memorial today at the GJ, the press center, today. It has been announced. Okay, so just a bit of details. The Ghana Journalists Association is today holding a memorial service and a forum for the late investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Suale, a member of Tiger Eye investigations team. So from the statement from the association, the event is also to draw public attention to the unwarranted attacks on the media. The statement said it's calling on all heads of media houses, training institutions, journalists, and media practitioners and the public to participate in the event. We're certainly participating in that. So a memorial today at the press center. Okay.
I think that's in order to honor the late investigative journalist. But I think also I need to sound a word of caution. Nobody is ever safe anywhere in the world.
True.
There are gun-related violence that are recorded in some of the top states in the United States each minute of the day. And so it's not as if that everywhere is safe. And so if you know you're conducting your work in a certain operandi or certain way, then it also means that you need to take the necessary precaution to protect your identity and yourself, because you need to live to continue working and contributing to the society.
Absolutely.
If that is what you have dedicated yourself to do. Because it looks like the state apparatus really don't have the structure and the posture and the interest, the commitment to do that for you.
Certainly looks like that. Yeah. Yesterday there was a crunch meeting, we're told, of all the top security, the people involved in security matters in our country at PGASI. Very little details we know from that. But what we are aware of, Ahmed Suale's murder, the kidnapped girls, we've had the violence at Ayawaso West, Wagon, we've had the GPHA, the ports lady murder, the Ghana Water man, we've had a number of things happening in our country, and we've been talking about security because it's that
brings to mind. I know that the argument, and many government spokespeople and appointees are always on the defensive in trying to defend the state of security. But we've always had crime. I remember prior to the Rawlings regime, or the Rawlings government having its last term ending, there were a number of killings of women, and there were concerns that were raised subsequently. And so you get to find that every day armed robbery happens. But if armed robbery keeps happening, then people, and there are high-profile people involved in those incidents, and they are killed or murdered, it raises concerns subsequently, because what makes news is about who is involved, when it happened, how it happened, etc. We should also take cognizance of that. And then the incidents that tend to happen, the nature in which they happen would always raise eyebrows. If people were molested or perhaps were brutalized in a community in which they were perpetrating some action or crime, the reaction definitely would not be as massive if, let's say, in the by-election, and maybe the people who were brutalized were not provoking the security agencies, or were provoking, but the reaction of the security agencies was not the best. You know, people will also react in a certain way. So I think that the incident relatedly have warranted the commentary and people's psychological fear about the state of security. And that brings also into question what we need to do as a country to put what needs to be done first. Because the police have the mandate. But if actions have been undertaken in which it looks as if the police are incapacitated, because when the police commander comes, who is in charge of operation, comes and says that, well, those who left
my men are not masked,
or who left 5 minutes ago, I don't know them, then it brings into question what people should think. Then am I safe? If somebody comes to attack my house in properly attired gear, okay, they are well geared. You get to see that they can't find this in Kathmandu, and where, and a state agency that's responsible for security comes and says, I don't know those people who came to attack you in your home, then
that's a scary situation. So, you know, I just wanted to say that.
And I think that the president did well by putting together a commission and all that. But I think...
But check this out. These top security capos who met yesterday, all these, like, this meeting that happened at Peduase, where the Minister of Information gives a briefing and talks about the fact that the meeting discussed how to develop a roadmap to combat emerging security threats in the country. And this emerging security threats box terrorism, the kidnapping, the violence, you know, the killings altogether. But these same people who have met, are they not the same people under whose supervision all these things happen? Are we now kind of coordinating? Like, are we now meeting to talk? Or there's coordination already? You
know, there's always, they say you don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. So the fact that there's a difficulty...
Shouldn't somebody be saying that I have failed, so I have resigned?
Yes.
We're still very new to that.
No, the thing is, under normal circumstances, that should be happening. But in Africa, it doesn't happen. It rarely happens. So I don't know. I think the only time that we've had a minister resign for an action, I remember the Minister for Transport and the JM administration. She resigned, we're told, for the bus branding issue. Okay. So it just doesn't happen.
Very few occasions.
Yes. But okay. The thing is, you can prep people. You can make them agile, and then you can have a certain rethink about strategy. Perhaps maybe the strategy has always been wrong all this while.
Okay, so let me just read. So, you know, this was a tight meeting. They say security experts meeting.
Tight.
But yes, tight. But the information minister gave a briefing to the media, and this is what he said. The dialogue held under the auspices of the Ministry of National Security formed part of a series of national security dialogues facilitated by the government to deal with emerging security threats, and quotes, political vigilantism, terrorism, and associated threats all form part of the major discussion on the table. If we watch what is happening in Burkina Faso and our neighboring countries, we cannot be resting on our laurels. And I thought that the examples would be more local, because, you know, examples. Like we've got examples right here instead of going to look at what's happening in Burkina Faso. But this meeting is still being held, or was held, under the auspices of the national security, and it's come under heavy scrutiny in these few days. Very, very interesting. The same agency or the same ministry, the same government ministry that some people are saying the heads will have to resign for what we saw, particularly in Ayawaso West, calling for this security meeting. Interesting. When indeed the police said they didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's a good time to do myjoyonline.com.
Commission. Anyway, let's go to myjoyonline.com. We have a couple of stories there as well, so you get to find some interesting headlines there. Well, we have MD of Republic Bank, Anthony Jordan, to retire in April, and that story is on myjoyonline.com. We also have other stories there. It says Central Region Police intensify education on kidnapping for students. And then our copycat mentality. Okay, my haters at GFA paid announced 400,000 to destroy me. And yesterday, you know, when I was watching that interview, I was trying to look out for, because there was this part that was shared by some friend who said that he mentioned somebody at Joy FM or Joy or something who had been purchased, pay 400,000. And somebody drew an analogy in relation to the 400,000. He said, well, you know, there was this thing that they said they wanted bribe of 150,000. And somebody was asking, why would they spend 400,000 and come and collect a bribe of 150,000? That's a loss of 250,000. So, but you know, an 11-year-old boy doused with petrol, set on fire, and this incident. Sad, very sad.
And his crime was for spying on a woman in the bathroom.
Yeah, we're told that's the accusation. An 11-year-old boy, what's he? And
so that's the punishment.
Yeah, and so spy
for the act, if it is true. That's the punishment.
11-year-old boys watch their naked mothers all the time. So, what's? I don't think it was not. Something has to be done about this, Mavi.
Okay. More stories on myjoyonline.com. 6 arrested over Ahmed's murder. We've shared that with you. Also on the page, 2 arrested for allegedly beating houseboy to death. Being a pastor's wife can be a lonely journey, Mrs. Kranshiankra. I am glad she's saying it. I think a lot of us, it's like we know, but I can't say we know because I'm not married to a pastor. But we suspected that. So it's good that she's been very open. It's part of Joy FM's Love Ride because of the month of love. So yeah, you can check the details out if you miss that conversation on our page. All right, let's share with you the story of this man who wants to sue his parents. But why don't we just listen to him explain, because he's done a video and he's saying that there are so many things that people are asking and he's taking the time to address them. If you're as curious, let's watch it.
Come out with a story and said they unmasked him. I think they've gotten the young man, and apparently he's not a hustler after all. He's not been hustling.
No, he's not. He's actually a businessman.
Okay.
He's actually a businessman.
So they said they unmasked.
And there's a whole motive. People are thinking that no, this couldn't be as it is.
Yeah.
But you see, the background is it's more of cultural, where parents put so much pressure on their children
to succeed.
Exactly. Let's listen. I think we can listen to him now.
I'm going to answer these questions one by one. I'm going to be asked these questions and I'm going to answer them. Please, first one.
Why do you want to sue your parents?
Basically, I want everyone in India and also the world to realize one thing, that they are born without their consent. I want them to understand that they do not owe their parents anything. And I also want to know that if we are born without our consent, then we should be maintained for the rest of our life. We should be paid to live. Why not? Second one, please.
When you say without consent, what exactly do you mean?
Basically, none of us have consented to be here. We just came here, and we came by our parents' discretion. They got a certain joy by having us. They got a certain happiness by having us. Or at times we were a mistake. Either ways, we were not asked. And it's not even possible to ask a child whether they can do this. So, all I mean by no consent is that you realize that you are here and you do not owe your parents anything, and it was not your decision. Something that is not your decision, you cannot be responsible for, and therefore you do not have to be responsible to your parents. Third question, please.
A message for every child and parents in India.
I have my simple message is that neither do you own your children, neither do your children owe you. That's it. To the children, I want to say, do not do anything for your parents if you don't want to. If you want to, if you truly, genuinely feel like, do it. I do feel like, so I do it.
Third, a message for every child and parent.
All I want to tell children and parents, I want to tell children that your parents don't own you. You do not need to do anything for them. Okay? You do not need to come under their blackmail. You do not need to listen to them if you don't want to. If you feel like, do it. And I want to tell parents that you don't own your children. You do not own every decision they make. They are individuals, not your investments. Next, please.
Fourth, how did your parents react to this situation?
My mother reacted very well. My father is still getting over the idea, and he's warming up to the idea. But my mother believes that she wishes that she had met me before I was born, and she would not have had me. Because at that time, she was truly unconscious. She didn't understand the concept that they have an option to not have kids. And this is what I want to tell everyone, that you have an option to not have children. Next, please.
How did others react except from your parents?
I have a lot of positive reactions and many more negative reactions, which shows me that I am somewhat right. I am somewhat on the right path, because I am going against the very fundamentals of human existence, of human reproduction. And this is what I want to do. I want people to think. So, to the people who are abusing me, let them abuse me. But first think, read what I'm trying to say, understand what I'm trying to say, and then abuse me. And there are many people